Welcome to our next episode of Rev Up in Real Estate. On this episode and this podcast, we have the one and only Kristy Dimmick, who is an amazing real estate agent and a leader and a thought leader in our industry. So glad to be able to hear a little bit from her. So take a listen and the fun begins. Well, Kristy, we're here.
Yeah.
Podcast.
I'm finally here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
I'm glad you're here. This is good.
I've been praying for this for like 2 years.
Oh my gosh. That is.
No, this conversation.
You've been preparing mentally, emotionally for this moment.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a dramatic letdown because you're like, this is why.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. It's
I
gonna be
thought you want me to let down. I think it's just
no.
my conversation. But
I'm excited.
well, Kristy, you've had a pretty interesting career in real estate. I mean, you weren't doing real estate to start out. And so maybe tell people a little bit about your backstory. What got you into real estate in the beginning?
Yeah, sure. So my first career after I graduated from BYU was a seminary teacher.
Oh, interesting.
So I taught religious education for 17 years in Utah Valley at 3 different schools. And I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved teaching. My heart just yearns to teach all the time. It was a great experience and a wonderful thing. But I just had this kind of draw to real estate. Like I've always loved it. I kind of got really excited about the investing side of things, started listening to Bigger Pockets and all, watching all these things. And I knew that real estate could be a vehicle to accomplish my dreams, but also help a lot of people. And even though I was helping people in a different way, I just felt this pull to it. And actually about 3, maybe 4 years before I actually retired, I like that word better, retired from seminary and came full time to real estate, I actually thought, I wonder if I can do it part-time. And so I had a couple of friends that were agents. One was a part-time agent and one was like a heavy hitter in the industry, right? And so I called both of them and was talking. And the first one, the part-time, was like, oh yeah, you could totally do it. You'd be great, And then when I called the other, I'm not going to necessarily mention her name, but she was like, are you kidding me? Do you know how many hours I cold called? Do you know how often do you know how many hours I work? There's no way you can make it in this industry as a part-time agent. No. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's not what I expected. Yeah. And she basically said, like, you have got to be all in on this. And so I thought about it for another 3 or 4 years. And
you didn't have your license yet?
No.
So you're just thinking about getting your license?
I was thinking about it. I had a rental property, I was loving this idea of passive income and just, I think I could do this, right? But anyways, it finally came time to where I really started just listening, and it just grabbed me. And I was just so excited about real estate. And so my original plan was to just be an investor. I was going to flip houses. I was going to wholesale, right? I was going to do all these things. And I actually put like 3 houses under contract off the MLS, but I couldn't find a buyer. And I was devastated. I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought I'd done my numbers right and all this stuff. And so we ended up having to cancel all 3 contracts, right? And I was like, oh man. But as I was working with agents, I started to realize like, maybe I could be good at the residential side, not just walking through trashed houses, like hoarder houses all the time. And so I made a decision and I did the school. What's the fastest you can do? Like 30 days or something like that?
Like 8 hours a day.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. 8 hours a day, just knocked it out, took the test, passed. And then, I hung my license at Coldwell Banker. I interviewed with 7 different agents or brokers and that's where I've been ever since. So kind of an interesting background, I guess.
That's really cool. So when you started out, did you start out part-time or did you go in all in?
I burned the boats.
Did you really?
I did.
So you had the 2 advice pieces.
Yep.
You had the one friend who's part-time, like you totally do this, but you probably felt, okay, cool, I'm going to go do this. Then the other friend.
Yeah.
Was like, you gotta be all in. And so that paused the whole journey for several years.
It did. And the journey of where did I actually want to land in real estate? What type? Because, real estate, there's so many like avenues and options. And so, it was several years. And I mean, I finally just realized that I had to be all in. And so I talked with my leaders at where I was working and just said, I think I'm done. And I'd been there 17 years. And I was tired. Like, it's an exhausting, trying to keep the youth excited and teach. These
are high school age kids that you're
teaching? They are, yeah. And I love them, and I still do. But it was difficult, and I think I just felt this, like it was time. And so I finally just made the full break. And so I lost my insurance. Really good insurance.
And you had nothing in your pipeline to start out.
No, I didn't have a pipeline at the time. I was still learning. I had sold a rental property, so I had a cushion. So I felt a little bit okay. And I had a really great supportive best friend who was like, this is what you need to do. I'll take care of everything you need if there's any issues. So in a way, I had a little bit of a safety net, but I really did just burn the boats 100% and went all in. And so because of that, I knew I had to make it work because, most of the response of when I left seminaries and institutes was like, oh, you'll be great. That's awesome. I understand. But there were several like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And so I kind of felt like I had to prove myself but I knew I could do it. And so there were two things that I kind of focused on initially was I was like, how do I shorten that learning curve, And I thought, the two things I thought of was I need to do deals. I need to do as many as I can, however that happens. And I need to learn as much as I can. I attended I had 150 CE credits my first year. I read 52 books that year, one every week, business books.
Just cranking
and
out.
I was working nonstop. And that first year and a half, I did 48 transactions.
Get out of here.
And so that was how I learned as fast as I could. Now, I obviously have so much to learn, and every deal I learned so much, but I tried my very best to shorten that learning curve that way. And learning from other people, mentors. I would sit in my broker and the director of education's offices. I would have a list of 10 questions. I go, when you have time, because I respect your time, can I just come and ask you questions? And sometimes the question was, this is the situation. What would you say? And I would just listen because I didn't know the verbiage. I didn't know the right way to say things, right? And so I would just listen, and I would take notes. And I don't know, I was able to grasp it pretty fast. So
wow. Fast. 48 deals your first year is...
It was a year and a half, technically, your rookie year. But
well, then that's not big.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. No. And
Kristy, on my first year of real estate, how many deals do you think I did my first year?
100.
Oh my gosh. Try 0.
Really?
I sold 0 houses my first year.
And that's okay.
No, it's not.
Because now you're amazing doing it.
No, but my first year, I thought I had the... I was going down the road and I was learning all the different trainings and processes. It just took me longer to... I'm not as smart. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. It just took longer to get things to go into action for me. The next 6 months after my first year, I closed 6 deals. But then it just started to just snowball effect, and it started going, momentum just started picking up more and more over the next couple of years. But 48 deals in that first 12 to 18 months, that's a significant amount of business to happen.
But I didn't actually know that wasn't, I didn't know that was ridiculously crazy goal. I remember sitting in Leisha's office and saying because in my mind, I'm well, that's 4 deals a month.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that's probably good. I could do that. I didn't know that was crazy. And so I had a vision board every day. I would look at it, had this little real estate sign, and there was a corner, it just said 48. Every morning I would look at that. And I would say, always just where's my next deal going to come from? Who can I serve? How can I add value? And I just started to build this referral-based business, and it took off.
Okay. So your business, a lot of it is referral-based. Most of your business.
90%. Yeah.
So you're starting out with nothing in your pipeline. You don't have a database set up and anything else. Mm-hmm. So what's the advice you give to a brand new agent? Knowing what you know now and looking back at that first year, there are probably things that you did that obviously there are things that worked really well. Are there things that you're looking at back and man, that was something that worked really well. Here's something I might have tweaked or adjusted based upon what I know now.
Yeah. Obviously I've learned a lot since then. But I would say, you just got to get out there. You just got to talk to people. Real estate is a platform for love. You can be successful in real estate by just being a good human, by just being a good friend. Look for opportunities to help people. And it's not just in buying and selling real estate, but it's everything from, hey, I saw that I was on, I listened to this podcast and I thought of you, or thank you note, or it was so fun to run into you at the store, and I'm so glad Johnny's doing awesome, and congratulations on the new baby, or whatever. And it's just it's that relationship thing. And so when you start, it's hard to not freak out because you need the money, right? Especially if you've burned the boats. And you want to buy leads, and you want to, and you're working with just whoever, right? But if you trust that a referral-based business is possible, if you trust that by adding value and keeping in touch and being in flow with your people really works, then eventually it catches fire. and they just keep referring you. And then those people, and you just grow your database, right? I mean, my database as a young age, I should have brought it. I still have it as a kind of an object lesson because, I still think like a teacher. But it's literally like a bunch of back of envelopes and like Post-it notes. I really should have brought it with a rubber band around it.
That's your database?
That was my database when I was my first year.
A pile of random papers.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I should go through there. There might actually be a deal in there. I don't know. But that was my database,
Just random scraps. Like,
yeah.
So if people want to, like, they want to subscribe, they want to buy your database program.
Yeah.
$19, you'll give them a bunch of random scraps, some rubber bands.
I bet there's a deal in here. I'll sell it to the highest bidder,
But I mean, just the program, you can just give them some random scraps and some rubber bands, and they're set.
Oh, that's true.
They're set.
You don't need a computer program, a CRM. Don't worry about it. Just
when I started, mine was on 3x5 cards. Oh. I had like one of those like weird little Rolodex boxes, and I had 3x5 cards, and I just like stuck them because all the technology stuff was like, I'll figure that stuff out down the road. But if I just write people's names and numbers down, and I'll just keep track of them all in this little, like, that was just an easy way for me to process and go through them all.
Yeah, well, you're totally advanced compared to mine. So, mine eventually ended up into a spreadsheet, and then eventually into a CRM. But but yeah, it was good. So
I think that's interesting though, because you do see a lot of agents who try to find the shortcut to success, and they're looking for like what's the quickest way for me to find success, and they're looking for this secret shortcut as if it's like buying leads, or if there's this other thing where you always knew that you wanted to build a relationship-based business. Mm-hmm. And having that, you just knew it would take some time to do it, and you gave yourself some time to do it, emotionally and mentally, to pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, it is scary, and it is like, and obviously you need a deal here and there, right? And so you do whatever it takes. Like, let's be honest. Like, I've worked with people at the beginning that I was like, I never want to work with them again, but it was a deal, right? And you learn so much. But I think ultimately it comes down to just that patience of just continually working your sphere and just loving on them and just, providing as much value and service as you can, and it catches on. And part of that is the experience that you do give to those clients, and they're like, wow, that was easy buying a house, or whatever. And I know sometimes you want them to know that there is some work involved, but it's like the duck analogy, right? Yeah. That's what I always think of, is like, we're the duck, right? And the duck looks calm on the surface, right? But underneath it's like, doing this stuff, and that's us, and that's how. But when you get the right systems and the right who's or the right people in place, that becomes easier and repeatable and consistent. And so when people see that and they have those great experiences, then they want to tell people, and they do, believe it or not, and it's awesome. And so establishing, again, that flow and that connection, and just making sure that you're always in touch with. And I think my opinion is that sometimes a database can be too big. Like, right now I work on a team with my best friend, Erica Brown. And so we're the Porch Light team, and we try and keep ours no more than 300, 150 each, kind of in a way, but it's just nearly impossible to keep in touch with that many people once you hit 150 over as an individual. And so just sometimes people are kind of tossed in and out, right? And I can email and do other kind of marketing stuff to more, but the ones that I'm really focused on, like, I would much rather spend my money, my marketing dollars, on my people instead of leads, right? And so just focusing on them, and, during the transaction as well as outside the transaction, and just keeping in touch. So,
no, I love that. I think it's interesting in our industry how much money agents spend on strangers.
Yeah.
Like, we spend a lot of money on strangers, and then we have the people who already know us and love us and trust us. And we're like, I'll give them a little bit, but I'm going to put all my money into total random people that don't even like me. I hope they like me, or maybe they'll trust me. But you already have like key people. It'd be like going out and Christmas shopping for random people, and like, you're not going to give any gifts to your own family. Like, whatever. You guys are family already. Yeah. I'm going to give like all the best gifts to a bunch of random strangers.
Right. I mean, it's not my philosophy. I know it's a business model that works for people though, and maybe even just getting started, like maybe they're buying Zillow leads or something just to try and build a database or whatever. But like, I believed in the referral-based business right up front and just went all in that. And so, I think a lot of it too is knowing what the right things to do every day are.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times as agents, we're like, oh, where's my next deal coming from, right? And we're on social media or we're doing things. But if there are certain things that you do every day, right, to keep that pipeline full and the right things, then like I've only been in the industry 8 years. So like August was my 8-year anniversary. So like just barely. So I still feel fairly new. But I feel like, okay, so knowing the right things to do, right, every day, and just taking, just as long as you know the right things to do and you're reaching out in those ways. And I would say in a way that fits you, because like, I'm not a cold caller. I'm not an expired chaser. I'm not like, I just don't, for sale by owners, like that's just not me. And so I would much rather focus on the relationship side of things, and see what happens that way. So
that makes sense. I think I like the concept of the top 150, the group that you're working with. I mean, I've heard that taught through one of my mentors, Joe Stump, with my referral for many years. But then you'd hear like that concept was, a lot of it distills down to Robin Dunbar, who was an Oxford professor who would talk about, he was a sociology professor, and he looked at groups of people over generations, and he saw that people in the 1800s and people even before that, like there were like parishes in Europe, and you'd have a village would be built around 150 families or so.
Yeah.
You have these small groups of people. Even in the military, you look at groups that are set up around 150 seems like it'd be the magic number. And so you have this Dunbar 150 that's taught all
That's
the time.
right. That's where I originally heard the idea.
Yeah,
Thank you for reminding me.
That's good. Like, but it's a cool concept where you have like this 150. Even like companies like Gore-Tex, when they're building up their factories, like they cap it at 150.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's something about your company, and we saw that as a brokerage, when our real estate brokerage got to above about 150 and above 150, it changed the dynamics of the interactions that we could have with people, and it kind of put some stress on the different relationships, because
I believe
now you have to adjust things, because now you're becoming bigger and changing the dynamic a little bit. And so,
mm-hmm.
but having like a core group of people that you can really double down on and really put some effort in. I mean, I think I've seen that scenario where it's talked a lot, where it's like square foot gardening almost. You have a grow box, and you can plant all your vegetables and plants in that grow box, and you have more ability to maintain that.
Yeah.
Versus like a 2-acre plot of ground.
Makes sense.
And then how effective are you going to be able to harvest the 2 acres? You're going to be missing fruit that's maybe not picked. We have other vegetables that are not picked when they're ripe, and
that rot and die, and
yeah. I saw that as a new agent. I remember there was an agent in my office who was a top agent in the company, and I remember watching his. I was mesmerized by what he would do, and I would try to like model everything he was doing. And every month he sent out a newsletter. He had a newsletter went out every single month. And I asked him once, I said, "Hey, how many people are you sending the newsletter out to?" And he was sending it to 5,000 people.
Oh my word! Wow.
But what I noticed is every month there would be about 15, 20 newsletters that would come back that would say return to sender. And I asked him about that once. I said, "Hey, have you noticed all the ones that come back?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, well, those are people that have moved, that like now they're telling you that they've moved in a weird way, but you didn't even know about it. Like you were marketing and spending all this money on, like, how much money did you spend the whole year marketing to that person to now find out that they've moved and you never even knew about it?
No.
But I think that happens with a lot of people. They're so caught up with like this big, like this vast number.
Yeah.
But you can't even keep a relationship with that many people sometimes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think they always say, like, people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. But I think there's that other piece, and that comes from the Ninja Selling book. That's one of my favorites, but is just, it's know, like, and trust, but you're in flow with, right?
Look at all your bookmarks in here.
Yeah, I like this one. It's been a good one for me. So
you got some great bookmarks out there.
Yeah. So made my own tab system there.
That's awesome.
I'd be curious, how are you run your business now? Have you shifted how you do business now versus when you got started?
I mean, I'm a lot more organized. I have a lot more systems. I have a lot more who's in place. I mean, before it was just me running around with like a chicken with my head cut off, honestly. Like, it wasn't sustainable. I mean, especially with going to all the classes and reading and doing all this stuff. I mean, I was pretty swamped. So now I think my philosophies are probably pretty much the same, but my systems are improved and better, and how I work with clients and my ability to help buyers maybe find a house sooner. And, like, I've gotten better and more skilled that way. But as far as like, the principle of flow, keeping in touch, like at least 3 touches a month some way, right? Or whatever number your brokerage or your coach teaches you, right? And so We send out a newsletter every month as well. And that's been probably one of our biggest things, but it's not salesy at all. Let's
even talk about real estate.
There's a real estate minute. It's about this big. And the rest of it, and then the other strategic part is up in the top corner. We thank people for their referrals. So I'm reinforcing that people are sending us referrals. And so 3, 4, 5 people every month are getting a shout out, right, in that corner. And so whoever's reading my newsletter knows, oh, wow, I know them. They referred them, or, whatever. Or, oh, yeah, we need to remember to refer Kristy and Erica, right, the Porchlight team. So, but that newsletter has been probably our best communication. We really struggled with social media. Struggled in that it was non-existent for like the first few years. And I think maybe that's something that a lot of agents struggle with too, is just knowing what to post, when to post. Like, I mean, I hate the whole self-promotion thing, putting yourself out there anyway. And I came as being a seminary teacher. Like, you were not allowed to be friends with your students or we were very private, right, as far as that went. And so that was a huge shift. So I knew if I was going to do social media, I had to do it my way, and I had to do it in a way that I knew it would get done. And so the first thing I did was find the right who. And it was actually a former student of Erica's and someone who had traveled with us. We did some tours in the summer, and she was actually a scriptie in Hollywood. Like, she's worked on big movies, but her mom has 3 kids. Well, she had 2 at the time when she started. And so we asked her, and it was an outlet for her. In fact, she still does it for us. She's moving to North Carolina, sadly, but I had to have a whole system set up. So like, I have a program, we plan out a month at a time. Like, we batch shoot stuff. Like, we have series, like, answering questions about real estate. We have a segment that we call Street Talk. We have like little things about cities. It's called City Ditties, like just things like that. So we can batch shoot a whole bunch of stuff, and then she does all the editing and posting and everything. But we plan it out in a full month in advance, right? And sometimes 2 months, like, just so we know. Because I knew that if I didn't do it that way, it wouldn't get done. And I know it's a critical piece of staying in flow with or like with our clients, right? Them seeing it, they love our social media. Like, we're total goofballs. Like, we really are. We're not traditional. Like, we just do it a way different way. We try to figure out how can we say we're in real estate without saying we're in real estate, right? All the time. And so we do a lot of fun reels and things like that. But that was a huge weakness of mine. Like, I didn't want to do it. I still don't love it, but I do it, right? How could I make this work? What's the right who that I can put in place, and what's the right system so that I can make sure it happened all the time? So that was another thing that has helped with staying in flow with our people as well.
When you're doing your social media and doing all this content and sending it out, and then you compare it to what other people are doing out there, do you feel like it's kind of like, is it weird for you to see other people's stuff knowing what you're creating? Or like, do you feel, because in the beginning, it's like always hard to start anything.
Oh, yeah.
So what was like, because you probably thought about doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And then you found like, what was it that took it? What was the final thing that made it so you could actually like, all right, we're going to set it out there. And then did you just delete the first thing you posted out there? You're like, I don't like it. No.
No, I didn't post it. She posted it. Yeah.
She just does it.
It obviously got better over time, and we got more creative and had more fun with it. But I think as soon as we embraced just being ourselves, and just like, I love being creative and trying to think of fun things. And Emma, our social media gal, and Erica both are all super creative too. So we go out to dinner, we do restaurant reviews. So that's one of our posts, right? And we just brainstorm. We just have all these ones. Hey, have you seen, this there? Oh, I saw this sign. It reminded me of this. And so I think as a new agent, like, you just have to put yourself out there, but also maybe find a hobby or find something else that you are good at that you can share. Like, there's an agent in our office who's like amazing with travel points, right? And so she'll get on there and she'll talk about travel points and things like that. And then I know somebody else is a really big pickleballer, And so, like, I think you connect with, you find your clients, you find your audience, you find those that are going to want to work with you through some of those things, right? And so I would say just try to be as creative as you can, but then also know that some of your posts are just going to be real estate related, but try to make them as engaging and fun as possible, right? Think outside the box, and probably just either learn yourself or find a good who to help you, right? And that was what I had to do. So I didn't have the time to edit. I know how to do those things, but I don't have the time to do those things. And I know she's amazing and she loves it. And it's just such a fun relationship that we have with her that it works great. So
no, that's awesome. I think there are a couple of things that I see that become struggles for agents as they're getting into their social media.
Yeah.
One is they start to put real estate posts out there.
Yeah.
And it does not have the same engagement that the other posts do.
Yeah.
And they start to think, well, then it's not as good. Or they start to like question themselves because they're putting real estate stuff out there. I would say that if there's any advice I would give to newer agents, it is to like, look, what you're saying is along the lines of getting like a couple things that are hobbies and interests of yours and be able to share those on social media. Because if someone's scrolling through the feed, they're going to stop on things that interest them. And if you have interest, so if you have, we just got 2 little cats about a month ago in our house. I wasn't a huge cat person before, but if I put a picture of my cats, because they're these British short hairs and they're super cute. And so people will stop and they'll comment and they'll like that because it's something that is appealing to them.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm now the media channel to my own brand, which I am, like every person is the media channel. So they're the station of their, then all of a sudden real estate becomes a commercial break. But too often, like I think agents make their whole feed a giant infomercial.
Yeah, I agree.
And no one's going to flip to the channels of their TV and like stop on an infomercial and just sit there and watch an infomercial for an extended amount of time.
Well, and I think look at what the purpose of your social media is. Like for us, it's not to be some big, influencer Instagram. And we have like 1,400 something maybe followers. So it's not huge. But we get fairly high engagement for that, and it's just fun and it's good. And it's our purpose is more to reinforce with most of our followers, our clients are actually other agents, believe it or not, and like lenders and stuff. Yeah. But like, it's not to necessarily, I don't know that we've ever really gotten a deal from social media, like straight off, but it's been reinforced like with clients, like we had one recently that was like, they were going to sell and like she follows us all the time. She comments or whatever. And she was like in our sphere for a long time, good friend. And she was tempted to go to a different brokerage that was cheaper. We won't say any names, but she was like, how could we not use Kristy and Erica, right? And now we've sold their home and they're closing on the 15th for there's new construction. But she had said, I saw your post and it just reminded me. And she's like, we thought about doing this other thing. And she's like, no, there's no way. And now that we're all into it, she's like, I cannot even believe I even entertained that idea when I see how much you guys have done and how we've been able to do this. And so
cool.
What's your purpose of your social media? Is it really to get clients? Is it really to, and maybe it is. And so maybe it's a little different focus than ours is just more value and fun and like just staying in flow or in touch.
I think that's great. And just staying top of mind.
Yeah,
they're going to see
exactly.
that. They're going to remember you because they're seeing you out there in front of them. Okay. So over the years, I mean, you came out like a rocket ship those first 18 months, like you're doing 48 deals at the beginning. But as you look back on your real estate career over the last 8 years, what are some of the biggest obstacles and challenges that you've come across that maybe for a second caused some pause? And you're like, oh, there's some like different roadblocks that you hit or some different mental habits and patterns that you didn't even know you had that caused you to kind of hit a place that you had to figure out what to do to get to the other side.
Yeah. I mean, losing faith in the relationship business or in the referral-based business is sometimes a real thing. And like you get to the end of the year and you're like, can I do this again? Right? You're just like, losing that imposter syndrome, like feeling like, I don't know if I can do this again, not trusting in the systems and the things you have in place. And, maybe you have a few rough months. I mean, this year's been tough. And we had 5 deals fall apart this year. Like that's rocked our world. And we've had to take a step back and look at each one and say, okay, what could we have done better? Or was there something? And in most cases, it was just the marketer, the buyer itself, that something weird had happened, I think, social media was a struggle for us, but we've tried to get that underhand. I think maybe the other thing, trying to think of how to say this, is I don't even know how to say this, but not getting burnt out. Is that?
I think that's a normal thing. I think that you're emotionally invested.
Yeah. And
it's a lot of work, and there are no like hours of real estate if you didn't put hours on it. Like that's not like a 9 to 5.
Right.
Like the real estate can go as long. It could be 24/7 if you allowed it to become that way. And I would say intrinsically for a lot of agents, like there is like an inner competitiveness that they're trying to become a better version of themselves. It's not so much the competition of,
sure,
I want to try to beat everybody else, but you're trying to beat yourself.
Absolutely.
You're trying to become a better version of you. And so you're trying to push the envelope a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets tiring. Like that's like when you're running a marathon with no finish line, after a while and you're running, it's like how many more miles how many more miles until where's the break on this?
Yeah. I mean, you get to the point where I mean, I have been to the point where it's just so many hours every day, back to back to back to back. I always take Sundays off. I've been able to protect that in my career, but like, I was just like, just burn it all down. Like, I can't do this as much, right? And I think some of that has been a mental shift of realizing I need to rely on others a little bit more. I need to have a few more who's in place on things. But also just like, how do I even say this? Like being okay. Like I hold a very high standard for myself, and like I'm kind of a perfectionist on things, and so I like things done a certain way. But like for an example, so I had this neighbor reach out to me. Like she's keeping her house, she's getting divorced. It's just she wants the house, so she needs a no value, right? And like when I do a CMA, like I go all out, right? And I know we get faster and faster and better as we get longer in the business, but like I knew that I just didn't have the time to really do what I do and like present, okay, all these things, right? And I just did kind of the bare minimum, and I just really tried to write the explanation and help her with it. And she came back, this is amazing. Thanks for spending so much time. And I was just like, oh, I didn't even really like. And so that law of diminishing returns, like where you're like, at what point does it not really matter in customer service satisfaction, right? Like, what is the point where I do enough that it's still better than most or above, but I'm not burning myself out, right? And I'm still serving, I'm still giving, and I know I could probably do more, but I know that it's not worth it. So I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out. That's as you have your customers and the satisfaction and the things you do, what sets you apart, but how much is too much sometimes?
Yeah. That's a good question. I remember a conversation there's a marketing guy out of Florida named Dean Jackson, and he talks a lot about like the minimum effective dose.
Oh yeah.
So like, what's the minimum amount of effort to still have the effective dose? So if you're having a referral-based business,
yeah,
like the question becomes like, what's the minimum amount of like of ability or money that you put into this, or whatever, like the minimum amount that would still give you the effective dose? Because if you double down on it, it doesn't make any more difference.
Yeah.
Or doesn't increase your results. Like that's like a fine balance. But at the same time, there's like a part of you that doesn't want to be you don't want to have a lower standard,
right? Because
you have a certain minimum standard that you have to keep across the board.
But then remembering how important your health and balance and boundaries are and things like that. It's just, I think it's a battle.
So when you find yourself in those moments where you're questioning your sanity, you're feeling stretched, you're like emotionally pulled.
That's never happened. What are you talking about? I don't know. Oh yeah.
I know, this is just people listening in.
Yeah, just in case.
Not for us.
Anybody else
never for us.
Before.
Never.
Right.
But in those instances, what is do you have like a place that you can like reset? Like, do you have like things that you do? Are there certain like go-to recipe that you're like, okay, when I get here, I just go to this place? Or is it a location? Is it like a mental place? Is it certain habits that you have that can help you reset?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny you'd say that. So one of my places like that is the float spa.
Oh, interesting. The float spa.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird. And there's people that are like, I could never get inside a pod and sit there for an hour or not do anything. And I'm like, it's heaven. I love it. That totally resets me. And I actually have a membership, and I try to go once or twice a month. Yeah. And there'll be times when Eric will be like, have you scheduled a float spa time? You seem a little bit out there.
I scheduled the float spa for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. So no, there's just something about that sensory deprivation and that time away and just relaxing. I love everything from that, even down to sitting in the lobby and having a little herbal tea and doing the oxygen and all of that. And so I usually sleep so well that night, and even maybe the second night after. And I just feel like it resets me because my brain is just going all the time. And so that's one way I found. They talk about getting in that theta state or whatever. It just kind of really resets. Otherwise, it's, hobbies and fun, family, stuff like that. Just making sure I'm taking time for, paddleboarding, pickleball, like all these things that obviously reading is an escape for me. I love, I love cooking, inviting people over to my home and having meals together and things like that. And even though that's kind of a form of work, it's different and it resets me. It helps me feel
really cool.
better about life,
That's really good.
So, my Sabbath day too, if I can say that. That's really important.
Because you know that you have that day that as long as you make it a Sunday, like you're like, I can do this for one more day.
Yep, exactly.
For me, I would say that I have to have a trip scheduled. Like there has to be a trip that's out there for me, because I find that if I don't have a trip, then I'm wondering why I'm even doing this in the first place.
I love that too.
So it's like those late nights, like, dude, what the heck? Like, why?
Yeah.
But if I have a trip that's like 60 to 90 days out, then like I can give myself permission to work hard. Because I'm like, hey, you got like a week off coming up. Like just, you can do this for a little bit longer to make it to that thing. So and if I find myself really struggling, I'm like, oh, I got to plan a trip. Like I got to plan something and put on my calendar so I can work towards that. And I would say that on the daily basis, if I'm really out of whack, then I can like physically, if I can go to the gym and just move some heavy weights, like that just helps to reset everything for me. So if I can break a sweat, if I can like lift something heavy, and like that, I kind of like that, like grounds me, and like I get back into like because I can tell if I've been out of the gym for a period of time, or if I'm like out of physical, like out of physical integrity with myself. I'm like, I'm off right now.
So that term, physical integrity, that's cool.
I just don't feel like I'm like I'm just not fit.
Yeah.
And not fit in the sense of like biceps and six packs. I mean, fit in the sense that I just don't fit into like I'm just not, like the life isn't fitting. It's like it's not coming together like it should.
Yeah.
And I know that I've got to reshift the adjustment around that. And because what I do know is that other people aren't going to put my health and my well-being in the forefront.
Yep.
Everybody's watching out for number one, which is themselves.
Right.
And obviously when you're running a relationship-based business, like you're trying to be very facilitating to their needs, and you want to be like accommodating, and you're trying to be a giver.
Yeah.
But when you're giving to everybody else and no one's watching out for your best interests, like that's you put yourself in a really tough spot to ever feel that's an easy place to burn out.
Yeah, I think most agents that are successful, I've heard they have a morning routine of some sort to slow them down in the morning to get some of those most important things done in the morning and out of the way, whether it's the workout or reading and meditation or anything really. But if you have that time set aside and you kind of start the day not reacting, you've got control over it, because if I do these things, I'll have a better day. And so I think you're absolutely right. And I love the thing about the trip, because I love to travel too. That's awesome.
Traveling is the best. I mean, honestly, if I have agents that come to me, they're struggling with their business, I just have them plan a day off or plan some time away, because they will work so much more effective the day before they're going to go away. That's the most effective day we ever work in real estate, is the day before our vacation.
Yep.
Like the 2 days before, but here are all the list of all the things we have to get done before we leave. It's amazing. Like we wake up early, we like start checking off all the boxes, and we start to, and what happens is most of the time we start to create so much momentum in our business, because we're like communicating with so many different people, that naturally business starts to happen while we're gone, because we had all this effort before we left. Yep. And then we go on vacation, we're like, oh, I can't believe all this business is happening. It's because we were so effective.
You want to get busy, plan a vacation. Yeah, right? That's what they say.
Seriously. It's like,
true.
That's how you would.
People 6 months you haven't talked to all of a sudden are ready to buy that weekend. You're
for sure. Because you had to go follow up with them.
Right.
I got all these leads. I got to go follow up with all these leads before I leave town. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to be out of town. Oh, we're ready to buy now. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. So then you start to question yourself. And I would say one of the struggles I ran into for years is I started calculating in my head the opportunity cost of how much a vacation really cost me. And I was like, that was like a weird place that I would go to, because I'd look at like, well, how many deals am I going to miss out on? Yeah. While I'm out with my family trying to be like relaxing. But I'd be like, you know how much it's costing me to like not take the listings I could be taking, or like work with the clients that I could be working with. And I had to like shift that, because that was a weird place I was in for a little while, because I was looking at like, it's too expensive to go on vacation because I'm missing out on much other
mindset.
Yeah, it's weird. It was weird. But
no, that's true. But most of the time you can work it out away from home as much as possible if you have someone back home to help. And then, I mean, we just got back from vacation and put 2 deals under contract. We wrote 2 offers. Granted, we had to do it. We were in Maine. It was awesome. It was a beautiful place. And so we thought of it as a blessing, like, wow, this is great that we could actually work. And,
Okay, so you hit Maine.
Yeah.
So now this puts you're knocking off all the states to visit, right?
We've got all 50 states. Yep.
What are you at right now?
So 49. We've done all of them.
49 out of 50 states.
Yep.
And the one last state is the one and only
Michigan. Of all places.
That's the final one, Michigan?
That's the final one, Michigan.
I mean, everybody says Michigan for last, but here we go. So Michigan is do you have a trip planned for Michigan?
Funny you should ask. We actually got invited to go tour UWM, the United Wholesale Mortgage.
Oh, that's in Michigan.
Yeah, I didn't know it. I said yes, and then I Googled it, and I was like,
what?
I texted the person back and I was like, is this in Michigan? She's like, yeah. So it's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, to have like
the 50th, because we were going to go do the UP Upper Peninsula and do all this stuff. But I was like, hey.
you got a work trip. Here you go on a work trip to like.
Check it off, 50. We'll try and do something fun and, it'll be good. But
what about U.S. territories? Guam, does that count? Puerto Rico?
No, it does not. I've been to Puerto Rico, but not Guam. So
maybe that's another.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, well, what's the next goal? And I'm like, I kind of just want to go wherever I want to go. But I've thought about, provinces in Canada or, everyone says, well, go to every country. So, but it's just kind of nice to, like, I've always wanted to go to Thailand. I've always wanted to go Erica served her mission in Norway, to go to Norway. I've always wanted to go, and so now that this goal is done, I feel like it's just opened up. I
think you're free to go.
Mm-hmm. We can go wherever.
So all the states that you've visited.
Oh, that's a hard question.
What would be the one that you'd want to go back to again? Are there any that you were like, that was an amazing experience? That one tops all my experiences. I would. That's the place.
I love the Oregon coast.
Or Oregon coast, okay.
I love that. I mean, Hawaii was amazing. Alaska was awesome. Of course, those are great. Tennessee was really cool,
Okay.
And then Maine. I loved Maine. It was
cool
so amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just beautiful. So gorgeous.
That was really good.
Yeah.
So, kind of a final thought with people would be, so you got agents who are struggling in the market. The market's shifted and adjusted for many people. You have a lot of people who've got their real estate license the last couple of years, and they've only seen a market that was one way.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the market's a little bit different. Yeah, you've been in the business for 8 years, so you've seen all different types of markets in the 8 years. So, what's the advice if someone's stuck in their business right now, and they hear the story about, but that's because it was back in your day.
Yeah,
You did because of whatever excuses they want to give on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to start over, or if you had to start over from scratch, or if you were just talking to someone who is just feeling stuck right now, and they're like, I don't know how to get any momentum in my business. What would be the advice you would give that person as a kind of a recipe to get them on the right track to get out of feeling stuck?
I would say every day have a plan and be deliberate at what you're choosing to do and who you're choosing to focus on. And obviously adding value and just loving on people to try and get those leads and things going. But I also feel like now is an awesome time to work on skills, to be a better buyer's agent, learn the right things to say and the right questions to ask to help people discover that they want to buy a house even though interest rates are high, right? To explain, whether it's a 2-1 buy down or just refinancing in general, or, be deliberate about going through the numbers with them so it's not this I can't buy a house, but maybe you can. Right. And so let's sit down with a mortgage calculator and talk numbers and see and figure it out. And, so I would say really deliberate with your buyers and setting expectations, both with buyers and especially sellers right now. Right. And so working on those skills to become a better agent, a better you that can communicate better and help buyers and sellers off the fence, if you will, or to move forward, but also to make it a more enjoyable experience. I think that's the best thing you can do, right? I mean, obviously the leads part or having people is a whole nother issue, and you take whatever you can get. You get out there and hustle, you network, you talk to people, you start to build your database, you put them in flow, you get them flow with them, right? Yeah. And so just doing all of those things. But I would say focus on those skills, become a better you. I even just one skill I learned recently that was talking to buyers, hey, this helped 2 buyers go under contract in the last month. It was hey, all buyers want 3 things. They want the perfect house or a good house. They want the location and they want the right price. But the reality is sometimes you can only get 2. And so this house that we're looking at right now, you love it, but the price is too high, and right. And so talking them through that has really kind of had they had kind of an epiphany, if you will. And both of them wrote offers within a week after we had that discussion, because they realized, okay, well, and they'll tell me, they use that verbiage now. So we're getting the house and the price, but not the location on this. And we're okay with that. Or number 1 for us is location. So we're okay if the house needs work and if the price is right.
Yeah, I love that.
And so just those little types of things of how you communicate and the skills that you have with buyers and sellers in this time is going to bless you. They're going to love their experience because of it. Hey, we were able to buy a house and we didn't think we were, but so-and-so helped us know because of this. And so then you're meeting with more people, right? Because they're referring you and they're telling people that you helped them do this. And so I don't know if that helps at all.
I
But that's
love
kind of what I was thinking.
No, I think that's great. I mean, especially when you start to look at that. I think the mistake I think a lot of people make is they think that it's going to always be easy.
Yeah.
That you're going to have a market that makes it easy for buyers to buy. But I would say historically, in all the years I've been in real estate, it's never been easy for a buyer to buy.
Right.
There's always an excuse of why not to buy. There's always different like outside circumstances that, well, maybe this will happen, so maybe you shouldn't buy. So there's always something that's a hurdle for someone mentally to buy a house.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is in our industry, we have an industry where people can get paid really, really well in our industry.
Yeah.
And you look in the general world, I mean, some of the highest paid people in our world are professional athletes.
Sure.
But professional athletes, they go back to training camps every single year. They're coached.
Yeah.
They are held accountable.
Yeah.
They deal with they focus on their basics continually with all their practices.
Yeah.
But yet, we think that we want to get paid like a professional athlete, but we don't want to do all the other stuff. We don't want to we don't go back to go to a training camp every year.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to learn how to become better at different things. We don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Don't want to get coaching. And so we try to look at the short path to get to where we want to go. And so, I think that's really interesting. But I love the way you just described the process of walking someone through, which really shows your teaching background as being a guide on the side and helping people make hard decisions. Because if you can help people make hard decisions, then they're going to make decisions that are in their best interest.
Yeah.
And if you can outline what their options are and help people have the peace of mind to take those steps, there's some real power in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. In a way, we're teachers at heart,
Totally.
just trying to help guide them through this experience.
That's awesome.
Can be amazing.
Kristy, this has been great. I appreciate you taking time, and this is really fun. So thanks again for sharing, and it's amazing what you've done, but you're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, something like that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much. I always learn so much from you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.